Ah, damn it.
Well now, what you doing there, friend?
Oh, hi there. I'm just playing some Smite, not doing too well at the moment.
Is that so? First time playing? I'm sure a game like that can be awfully confusing.
No, it isn't my first time playing. I've played the game before.
To a novice, any MOBA can be a daunting game to learn, let alone master. But I'm here to be your guide. In no time we'll have you pushing lanes and taking down phoenixes, just like those other, better players. But first, let's get some background on what Smite is. The history of the MOBA. MOBAs have had a long, rich history, dating back as far as the ancient Egyptians. Wealthy slave owners would throw their best and brightest into a large ring and let them hash it out to see who would be crowned victor. However, it was not until 1438 when the King of England, Richard Newborough, decided to coin a term for the game and further develop the concept. The county's greatest champions would come together with teams of their choice and were placed in a rural-themed arena. Their task was to lay siege to each other's bases, overcoming defences and numerous hackers until one castle lay in ruin, or until the other team was completely massacred. There was no respawning back then. He named this glorious and violent sport MOBA, many oaths battling for amusement. Forward to 2012, as great overlord Rory Newborough launches Smite. The basics. Hold on there, chum. What do you think you're doing?
I'm playing some Smite.
But you shouldn't be playing Smite when you don't know how to play. Smite is a competitive game, so you owe it to yourself and your team to know how to play properly.
Yeah, I get that, but I've already played Smite. I know how to play Smite properly, thanks.
Are you Pro League yet?
Well, no, I guess not.
Then you obviously haven't grasped the basics of the game. You see, for every game, there are basic rules that you can follow which will help you in any situation. Such techniques and ideas that have to be properly mastered and adhered to before you can get any better. Luckily, true Smite masters have found a handy mnemonic for you to learn and follow that'll help you in any situation. Prepare, revise, obtain, layout, attack, pursue, secure, and end. Prepare your build for whatever god you choose, assign your skills, and purchase items with the gold you have. Revise your strategies, especially when you see how your team is built. Obtain buffs, starting items that will increase your chance of success. Layout. Check the map and see if you're able to ward while checking for any enemy invades. Attack when you can and go for kills. Pursue objectives with teammates and communicate your push at the right time. Secure objectives that will push the odds in your favour, such as Gold Fury or Phoenixes. And end. Finish the game with style, grace, and most importantly, humility. And what's so funny? Playing Smite like a professional is no laughing matter, I can assure you.
just prolapse.
Yes, exactly. Now you're getting it. Prolapse. Once you learn to prolapse, you'll find that any encounter can be a breeze. Why, with enough effort put into it, prolapse can really turn a game inside out. Picking your role. The basis of any good team is what the hell are you doing?
I'm trying to play some Smite. God, leave me alone.
But we haven't finished discussing how to play yet.
Well, how did you do that?
The basis of any good team is cooperation and cohesion. Not only is it an important mix to match classes and attack types, it is also equally imperative to consider synergy of your team. A well thought out combination of damage as well as crowd control will ensure your team's victory. Or, that's what most players would have you believe. The true key to your team's victory is picking whatever you want, regardless of your team. You owe it to them to play only gods that are good and you're comfortable with. Therefore, always remember to insta-lock your chosen god and, if the game turns south, blame your teammates for not trying hard enough.
That is so painfully wrong and selfish.
Well, Mr. Negative and Ugly, how about a few examples?
Come on, man, that was uncalled for.
Here we have a team composition of 2 hunters and an assassin for siege. Your team already contains high burst damage for single targets, as well as adequate speed to rotate around the map. What sort of god would you pick to help your team achieve victory?
Well, I guess I would take a Guardian. You've got the CC there, they can sponge their hits for the frail assassins, and you can add some magical damage to a physically heavy team.
Wrong! Have you not listened to a word I've said? Of course you wouldn't take a Guardian. An assassin is a perfect pick for this team, so that you're not left behind when your team charges the enemy. Besides, how else are you supposed to earn kills with that lack of damage, It's almost as if you're looking to be kill-stealed. I would recommend Loki, since he's nice and OP.
That's complete nonsense! Okay, Loki is strong, yeah, but with a bad team composition, he's on par with everyone else. That's just dumb.
It's about picking the right tools for the job. You wouldn't use an iron to grill a sandwich, would you?
Well, I guess you could. What does that have to do with anything? And you could grill a sandwich with an iron. You wouldn't do it, but I don't see why you couldn't.
There we are. Now, as I was saying, the key to winning at Smite is to pick people you're comfortable with. And how do you become comfortable with certain gods? By playing them continuously, of course. Why struggle to play some lump of a Guardian or some squishy assassin when you can play Hunters all day and not have to worry about anything? Better yet, just stick to one Hunter. Play Neath. Play nothing but Neath all day and eventually you'll become a force to be reckoned with. You will know Neath better than any other player. Your Neath skills will be known throughout the land and people will hail you as god of the, well, gods. Or Neath. Just like playing a god you're comfortable with, itemization is also very important. What items you'll buy will not only determine how you will play, but how you'll counter people. Take a look at the innate skills your character has. For instance, if you have a character like Mercury, who's already quick and hard-hitting, why not wrap that guy up in heavy armor? Now you're a super quick tank of pure destruction. Conversely, you should be building tanky characters with high damage items, since they already have defenses. Also, if you're playing a physical god, your first item should always be crits.
Oh come on, this is completely ridiculous! Crits is a first item!
Of course! Why do normal damage when you can crit your foes?
Because it's random chance, it's just luck!
True. But send a wink and a smile to Lady Luck and she'll be sure to see you through. Faith is all you need, friend. Perhaps you shouldn't be so critical.
Oh, come on, really? Where's this coming from? Okay, stop it, enough! You obviously know what you're talking about. Your knowledge is absolutely amazing. You know everything. I'm utter rubbish. Your perfection, you have taught us everything. I'm not the best. You're brilliant. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. You understand? Wait, how the fuck did you just... What?
Dealing with the community. In the heat of battle, we can experience a certain fire from time to time. Even the great honourable samurais would find themselves yelling expletives to their enemies when they were outplayed. So rage during matches is something we all have to expect. The proper way to deal with aggravated players is the key to removing any negative distractions from your game and to help you to...
Seriously, this is just getting ridiculous. Get the fuck out of my house.
Silence! How dare you interrupt me, you pathetic, ignorant fool! You think you can speak to me in such a manner? Me, the narrator? I have lived since the beginning of time, born from the darkness before the light. I have orchestrated the fall of empires, the toppling of kingdoms without so much as a whisper. Your meaningless existence is as much interest to me as the brief life of a fly and just as expendable. I will cause you pain and agony not seen in your mortal realm. I will burn all nations and raze them to the ground around you and leave you in the ash and the dust. You will know fear. You will know pain. You will know destruction.
Unfortunately, the word limit on Smite does not allow for such an elegant and well-versed retort, so something much simpler will suffice. Yes, that'll do nicely. Another situation which might have need for proper social control is in lobbies. Many people disagree with the age-old tradition of insta-locking your preferred god, so they might cause you some grief which needs to be stamped out. Such acts of blatant aggression must be countered with swift, decisive and most importantly, mature action. Perhaps calling them a bitch would suffice, or maybe you could take a stab at their skill at the game. Then again, nothing says I'm a mature individual uninterested in arguing with you than a crack at their mother's hygiene. In game, problems can arise when your teammates make the mistake of dying or showing poor performance. If a teammate of yours does die to an enemy, your first response is always to be supportive. Telling your comrade in arms that they rock incites a certain level of confidence and morale. It's a little treat, a pick-me-up for them to enjoy which will aid them in future endeavours. Then, once they've marinated in the cooperational glory like your enemy's mother stewing in her own gut sweat, hit them with a retraction. Cancelling your compliment not only lets them know that they have made a serious error, but that they should feel shame for it and try harder. Perhaps one day they will receive a "You rock," devoid of all sarcasm. Such a day is what they will strive for. Perfect. Moments of judgmental conflict might arise when you find yourself let down by teammates. Remember, prolapse is the key. Prolapse play is not only very important, it's your key to survival and an enjoyable experience. So if you regularly practice prolapse, you're guaranteed success. Therefore, any deaths you sustain are because of poor performance of your team. Critique of their technique is important. However, certain matches can be hectic, so you need to be sure you're brief and to the point. The why is not important. Quick reviews on performance are much more likely to get noticed. While you're at it, add a few sarcastic woohoos in there. Remember, flood protection is there as a challenge, not a deterrent. The stage of battle. So, still with us, chum? How are you finding the advice?
Aidez-moi.
Playing Smite can be rather difficult at first. However, with this guide, anyone can learn the basics you will need to ensure victory. Techniques such as prolapse, passed down through many generations of players, allow us greater control and presentation.
Il y a un narrateur étrange dans ma maison.
But there is one more element we've neglected to mention. Conquest. This mode can be especially tricky, with 2 5-man teams battling it out through jungles and across 3 lanes. So, in this final section, I will outline the roles you may play and how each one fits into an effective team. Teamwork is the key to victory here.
Appelez la police. La police.
Je t'avais prévenu. Conquest is a 3-lane map, famously designed around the A15 stretch between Lincoln and Scorby. Each of the 3 lanes are given the protection of a certain god or gods, with one jungler working on camps throughout the map and a roaming support to aid in counter engages and objective securing. The middle lane is taken by the mid laner, hence the name. This role is usually played by a mage, which will come as a huge shock to your opponent when you take Kumbhakana. His greater size, creative clear and constant alertness allows him to shake off ganks as if they were a cease and desist notice. Mid laners usually spend the early game pushing their lane and rotating when need be, keeping mindful of the enemy team's rotation which will happen through the mid lane. So, if you happen to see an enemy jungler or support cross the path of your lane, be sure to make a mental note of that and criticise your team when they've been too preoccupied in their own lanes to notice. Mid camps also give great early game XP, so make sure to take them as soon as you can, whether your support or jungler are prepared or not. In the end, they pay for their sluggishness. Solo lane is the next lane-centric role, and plays a more simplified part in map awareness. As a solo laner, you act as a lone wolf of the team, whose sole purpose is to outdo your rival. Be sure to look for an enemy kill constantly, and complain when your jungler wasn't there for the gank when you were clearly ready to engage. Fire Giant is on your side of the map, so it's your duty as a solo laner to make every possible attempt to take this important objective on your own. An early Fire Giant buff could mean a quick victory for any well-prepared team. Be sure to criticise your jungler once again if you end up dying to the Fire Giant. It's usually the jungler's fault. Next is the jungler, or as I call him, the fall guy. If your team is losing, it's usually the jungler's fault. Your team will control their half of the map without much trouble, so it's the jungler's duty to sneak into the enemy territory and steal as many jungle camps as they can possibly manage. However, your first priority is to join random lanes and core ganks when your teammates are unwilling and unprepared, and, as they die in the fray, take your kills and glory. Make sure to gloat upon your success out in the open, since it's unlikely the enemy team will respond to a successful gank. The support role is next, or as most pro teams call them, the other fall guy. As a support, you are a damage sink to the team. Your job is to stand in the way of attacks like the fat, useless oaf that you are, and play as if you understand what you're doing. The support acts as a babysitter early game, making sure the frail strand of spaghetti that is the ADC doesn't become overwhelmed by the enemy. However, personal pride is at stake, so always look for kills when you can and get yourself ahead. Later on, you'll be expected to rotate to aid with mid camps and counter enemy ganks. Therefore, this is the perfect time to show your jungler your smite prowess and steal any prospective kills they might have lined up. If the tank is ahead, your team is certainly on the right track. Your teammates will thank you late game for this. And last but certainly least, the ADC. The ADC, or absolute dipshit character, usually takes a solo lane with the support for the early game. As an ADC, you will be expected to sellotape down your left mouse key and stand in certain positions for long periods, taking no interest in the rest of the game. Clearing your lane is top priority. You are the hog who keeps all the golden experience for themselves, a fat, useless waste of space that sits in one spot for most of the game, farming and grinding levels. In the early game, you have as much combat potential as an axe made out of soap, so you're expected to simply sit there and build up, so you're not a complete waste of a team slot. Then, at late game, post-itemization, you will have evolved from an ugly, disgusting caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly of liquid pain. You will be expected to steal everyone's kills, and remember, the ADC is never wrong. If the ADC dies, it's the support's fault. If the ADC loses a camp, it's the jungler's fault. Gold Fury is on your side, and it's your job to stay in lane, killing minions and feeding off experience like some parasitic leech, watching helplessly as the enemy team steals it right from under your nose. But never lose hope, because, remember, it's not your fault. And there we have it. Wasn't that terribly exciting as well as painfully informative?
More terrible and painful, to be honest.
Oh, who cares? Well, we learned a lot here today, so take what I've taught you and master these gods. Take care, thank you for joining me, and hopefully, one day, I will see you on the battlefield.
Really? Really? After all that, you're just gonna leave it like that? You're just gonna say some stupid catchphrase and expect everything to be fine again? After all that crappy advice, you're just gonna—
Yes!
Oh shit!
Hello fellow bin raiders, and thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this little sketch comedy sort of thing, let me know by leaving a like. I do videos like this on a semi-regular basis, so why not consider subscribing? And what about Smite? Have you tried it yet? It's definitely worth a go and it's free, so please check the description for the game link. Send me a comment if you want to, or hell, share this video if you want. Thanks again, bin raiders. Keep on bin raiding, and I'll see you next time.